next?
I think let's go to Mel and
Luke.
Luke. Yeah.
That's okay. Just give me one name and I got you.
Right, cool.
We have Mel and Luke. Mel is a farmer. His father passed away not too long ago. And he has two sisters, okay? Mel says she's a pink looking for her blue. And hoping, basically she wants a manly man, okay? She wants a manly man. And Luke, and Mel don't understand that production does things, I'm thinking it's production. But what happens with these two on the wedding day? Luke is given the rings and is put on a credenza or a buffet style table at the house that he was getting ready in. And he was told by production, don't forget your rings. Now, with everything going on, they're in the limo and Luke forgets the rings. Okay. And not only that, they have to go back for the rings. So Luke is extremely late for his wedding. Not only that, production let Mel walk in and there's no groom at the front. And she's walking in. You'll see the clip on my, in my shorts. Where's my husband? Where's my husband? No husband. He rushes in. I would love to know the timestamp of how late he was. He and his two sisters rush in. Not only that, y'all, he is chewing gum with his mouth open at the altar. That would have ticked me off. I would have been like, we got to get that gum out before I get the ick. He was chewing gum with his mouth open. Now, she has not forgiven him for being late. He was honest and say it was about the rings. Then his sister came and got the gum from him instead of him just swallowing it, as she said. And she has not forgiven him, even though her mother said, just let it go. This happens. It's a wild day. Let it go. Wise counsel. So she has not forgiven him. And it is like watching paint dry, listening to these two try to talk to each other. He's trying to talk to her and she's just being mute. What are your thoughts on Luke and Mel?
Yeah, this one's been sabotaged from early and I don't see them coming back already, unfortunately. Too many major things have happened. So when she describes herself as a pink and him as a blue, it gave me the impression that she's very traditional gender roles oriented in the way she thinks about things, particularly when it comes to the wedding. So she expected the groom to be there waiting for her, as is the tradition. And when she comes down the aisle, he turns around and sees her. And that's been the formula for all of the couples. Unfortunately, her big moment that she's been looking forward to has been scuppered and there's no do-over. So she is very sour about that. He was complacent because he was told about the rings before they left. And then, but as far as I understand it, typically it's the best man's role to carry the rings at a normal ceremony. But in this instance, there's no best man. So it was up to him to remember to bring his own rings. As they start driving in the limo and he realizes that he doesn't have them, like nobody's got them, then I think production should have been notified that there's going to be a delay. So can you delay the bride coming down to the altar, right? Because unfortunately, now if she arrives there first, he's going to be looking tardy and late, which isn't a good first impression. Then the fact that he's had to rush meant that he turned up there very disheveled, which was also another mark against him. Then the chewing of the gum at the altar while saying the vows, he was lip smacking that gum. Yep, terrible. Then the way he spat it into his sister's hand and that was also another mark. So all of this is putting Mel off, and Mel seems to be very much a stickler, very pedantic about how she wants her big day to go, and she feels like it's been ruined. So she's holding that against him. She's still seething, even like a day or two afterwards. She is not letting him in at all to get to know her. Um, and she's sitting apart from him. Everybody's noticing the distance. Even on their couple task where they get to make pizza together on their first official date, she just wasn't feeling him. She was more into the pizza instructor than she was to him. So yeah, she's just not going to forgive him. She's not a forgiving person. And particularly on a day where she felt like it's something she's been waiting for so long, had her heart set on when coming to the show, and it's gone the way it has. I don't think it's repairable. She's just not forgiving.
Right. She is hard to forgive him, and that's not very Disney princess of her. You know, she's a pink looking for her blue. Blues do make mistakes, okay, Mel. I'm gonna need you to get up off of this. You know, he may have redeeming qualities, but again, ooh, child. But yes, I think they created that. They sent her down the aisle because of that.
Exactly. So that's why I say this. Like production could have dropped a line and said, "Hey, don't let the bride go down yet. Give him time. He's going to be slightly late." And maybe the complexion of their interaction would look different. But because they went ahead with it, I'm going to put some of this on production as well, even though he did forget the rings.
And
But
production provided the receipts that they did tell him before they left, don't forget the rings. And he still did.
right. So, okay. So they're going to punish both of them by letting the wedding still go ahead. And yes, he's going to carry the can because ultimately it was his mistake. But I think there could have been things to do to kind of mitigate the situation because it was an accident. It wasn't intentional.
Okay, but he's the leader. He's the man. He's the groom. He's the blue. Okay.
Yeah, and that's why he takes accountability and says, "Look, it was on me. It was nothing else. It wasn't a flat tire. It wasn't the fact that I got cold feet. It was simply I forgot to leave out with the rings."
Right. And
And
I would forgive him because it's not just a regular wedding. It's
yeah,
a wedding, it's production, it's
yeah,
filming. There's so many things they have to do on that wedding day that it's way too much for you to also remember because you weren't planning to get married for months.
mm,
So again, and there are things you probably think, oh, production got it.
yeah, exactly.
Or he has two sisters. Maybe again, he's not used to assigning something like that to his sisters. We don't know the dynamic, but I would have been like, hey, sis, you know, or as one of his sisters, like, I know he gonna be forgetting stuff.
Yeah,
I'm gonna be on this for him.
yeah,
Because even his sisters, you know, I'm sorry to say it, sisters, I'm gonna be riding on y'all. This is your brother. You should have told him to spit the gum out before he even got down the daggone aisle. He's in the
okay.
car, he's smacking. You should have said, you should have fixed him up, fixed his tie before he got out the car, the limo. Sisters, I'm gonna need y'all to pull it together.
Yeah, he wanted to make sure his breath smelled fresh for the kiss, and they didn't. He didn't even get one anyway. So
No, he
and he's
barely
not going to get one.
got to hold her hand.
Exactly. So yeah, I can understand why she's thieving. But part of this is getting to know the person. If you know she's not a forgiving person, then it's probably not going to work anyway because everybody makes mistakes,
Everybody
and
does.
she's going to continue to punish him. And she doesn't seem to be. She's just in a funk right now where she just doesn't seem as attractive, and also the way events have panned out. So she's just it looks like she's just checked out already.
Yes, it does seem like that because when we are eating, I'm not talking about my BM movements and what medication I take because I get upset stomach. I'm not talking about that with someone that I'm now dating. That's not happening. That's not happening.
Yeah.
Anything else about this couple?
uh it will be interesting to see uh how they survive when the couples do come together and start to have the dinner parties because they are already in problems. And what
And
do
I
the
can
dinner
see
parties
Mel.
do?
Mm,
The dinner
I can,
parties highlight the dysfunction in the relationships. The other couples notice it and they start calling it out, and things spiral from there.
and I can see Mel turning her gaze to another groom.
I can see it because that typically is what happens. But at the same time, I'm not sure who's going to. I'm not sure who's unhappy enough at the moment to take a look over at Mel. I think this could be an early elimination, just like with the previous couple.
Yes, yes. So who would you like to go to next, sir?
Next, um, let's go to the boat builder, and the
Stephen.
Stephen and the lady with the laugh. The
Rachel.
yeah.
So Stephen and Rachel, y'all got married, okay? It was she was laughing, giggling the entire time, and it
Mhm.
was very, very loud, very, very full on. You can see her tonsils every time she laughs, okay? Um, and they, do get married. I guess the families like each other. She doesn't say anything about his height. They seem to get on okay. Okay. They just seem okay. There's no, as they like to say, sparks. They get to the honeymoon, and who decided to put them on like glamping? Okay, it's not camping, it's glamorous camping, y'all. And the cabin doesn't even have a door to the bathroom, it's just a curtain. And Stephen has a little bit of a tummy issue, and he said he's not concerned so much about the smell, but it's about the sounds coming out of the bathroom. And I said, ooh, Stephen, please.
Well, El Cid, this is why it's important to talk about the bowel movements very early on. The previous couple, they were talking about Gaviscon and what they do to remedy the situation. Look what happens. Stephen, in a bad twist of fate, unfortunately, has bubble guts and arrives at this romantic location. No door on the toilet. Man, he's either going to have to go and fertilize some plants outside, or wait till she's out the room or something, because it's not going to be
Could,
pleasant.
could you leave the room? I've got to use the loo.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to do that. I think he's going to be like, why don't you go downstairs and I'll meet you for breakfast in about 20 minutes, half an hour, babe.
There's no downstairs.
Oh my goodness. Why don't you go to the lake? Why don't you go take a walk and I'll join you? I'll come and find you in about 20 minutes.
And if I don't, come find me. But send the crew. Send the crew.
Yeah.
Here's the thing.
And bring an extinguisher or some potpourri, some Febreze.
Bring the whole bottle. But by this time, y'all, they do have a bit of banter. They're laughing and talking until Stephen makes a banter that she did not like at all. She did not like. Basically, she said she's all about, her sports team. She's a fan. And Steven said, oh, are you one of those loud, obnoxious fans? Because, usually when girls are fans, Steven, we got to talk to you about that. Okay. Usually when women are fans, they're very loud and obnoxious and act very, I guess he wanted to say manly. Okay. She said, that's not me. That's not how I behave. That's not how I act. And he still kept going on and on and on about it, not reading the room. Steven, this is your first time knowing this lady. You got to stop at a certain point, okay? And Rachel, this is your first time knowing this man. He doesn't know all the buttons there are that will take you over, but she is crying. She is upset. They have walked off away from each other. And I don't know what's going to happen with these two, how we going to mend it and bring it back together. But hopefully, as he mends boats, he can mend this relationship.
Yeah. Well, this one, I think she has obvious insecurities. She hasn't been in a relationship for a long time. I think she said mainly situationships. So this is a very new experience for her. And in terms of dating someone, but this is also marriage, which she's probably been looking forward to for her life as well, wanting to be a bride. He strikes me as, I don't want to say a typical Australian guy, but there is something about some of them that I've seen through watching the show and knowing some personally, some Australians. They are friendly, cool peoples, but there's a very simple, rigid side to them. So that whole comment about the football team, like football teams can be very tribal. You know, you grow up supporting a team and you stay supporting them your whole life. Maybe your dad supported them, or maybe you got taken to games as a child and you stay supporting that team. And his comment was sexist because he's insinuating that because she's a woman, like, is she the type of person to nag and get on to the players when they're not performing well? When in actual fact, that's the guys do that too. They're loud, you know, any sport. If there's if there's teams, right, you're always going to have, when your team perform well, you cheer and support them. When they're not doing so well, you criticize the players. This guy should be traded. I can't stand the way this guy plays. Blah, 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 blah. Why is it any different because she's a woman doing it? You know, she already said that she has an affinity to a certain team based on her relationship with her dad. So I think she got upset because he was trying to paint a picture of how her behavior is, as if she's a nitpicking, nag type of person. And she considers that to be an attack on her personality. And he didn't think, like, because you can tell he kind of dragged the banter on for too long. You know, do you like the sport? Yes. What team do you support? This team. Okay, great, fantastic. That means we can watch the games together.
Right.
But no, he took it to, oh, I bet you're the type of fan that does this. I bet you do this. Now, really, you look like the type of person that's going to do this. So it just felt like he's piling on. And she's not thick-skinned. She's thick, framed, but not thick-skinned. So he needs to get to know her better. I do think he will be apologetic, or he has been apologetic somewhat. So he's taken account of what he said and how it may have insulted her and hurt her feelings. But he's going to have to tread very carefully in terms of getting to know her, because she does seem to be on the sensitive side of things anyway. Even though she may have had a valid point in being upset, I think from what we've seen, she teared up when talking about herself and talking about her previous relationships too. She got emotional. So she's not all the way healed.
Right. Right. She did want him to see her as a soft, attractive woman, as Absent says in her comment. And he did say, but that's okay if you are. He never said it was unattractive. He never said it was obnoxious and he doesn't want his wife to be like that. He said, it's okay if you are. It's okay if you're not. He was just trying to make conversation. And I think, Stephen, here's my guess, is that he got too comfortable too quick. And I think that is a testament that he does like her. And he got real comfortable. And he was able to just, like, you know, chillax with her like if we've been together for years. Now, some people may say, oh, maybe put her in the friend zone and he got too comfortable too quick. But I do think Stephen does like her. I think he likes the fact that she does like him and she's not putting him down. Because the way he said a lot of things about women in the past, how they've treated him because he's not 6 feet. He's an average guy. He's got an average, you know, work with your hands type of job. I think he just liked the fact that she was just warm and open to him. And he got comfortable. And then too, you know, we got to get comfortable, because if I'm using the bathroom and they ain't got no door and you ain't complaining, I figure we real comfortable. We're real comfortable at some point. And he fell in too deep being comfortable. What he should have done is like, hey, am I allowed to come? Do I have to wear a jersey? What are your expectations of me when we go to a game or when we're watching the game with your family? So, I mean, he was just, I think he got too comfortable too quick. And now he's got to figure out how to mend it and then get out of there. But I think she seems to be one who is willing to take and accept his apology in the future.
I think he's so used to having that type of banter with his friends, like his male friends, kind of like a hazing over which team you like and all that stuff. And unfortunately, that didn't go down well in this situation, which is a romantic relationship.
Right.
So when you're friends, you can, oh, your team's crap. You know, my team's better than yours. Can't wait to play you next week. We're gonna smash you. You know, that type of stuff. But with like I said, I think he just kind of hazed her too much about her personal behavior, how she cheers for her team, how she supports her team. Why are you making such a big deal of it? You'll see. Just give it time. But
Right.
just know that you have a common interest in that particular sport. That's more than enough, right? You've turned something that could have been a common interest and bond into something quite contentious. And it didn't need to be. So I think he needs to not only learn her triggers, but also learn himself. Sometimes it seems like he's going to put his foot in his mouth quite a bit. And then the other thing is, I would say for her, that laugh. I mean, it's unique, and I wouldn't necessarily frame it as, you know, don't laugh so much because it could be off-putting. But I would say, you know, be aware that he may, or people around you may hear that laugh and be like, you know, that's a bit much. Was it really that funny?
Was it really that funny? But it's her nerves. And I think
It is.
just like he can put his foot in his mouth, her mouth is also could be, you know, a bit the laughter coming out of her mouth could be a little bit abrasive, you
Exactly.
know, kind of thing.
It's quite sharp. It's quite piercing to the ear, right?
It is very piercing, and if y'all wanna see the laugh, I think I do have it in my clips with them. We do see some of it with their wedding, but it's very full-on laugh, and, glad the guests were all laughing with her, but with a montage clip of it constantly together, it was a lot. It was not even 2 words said, and it's a full of "ha ha 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 ha." It's full on.
Yeah. And I think it went like at first people were laughing at like with her, and then it became laughing at her laugh,
Right.
right? And then I think with the nature of the date that they're on, or the honeymoon, where they're in the outdoors, where it's meant
Mhm.
to be peace and quiet and tranquil, and there's wildlife and things. If it is a nervous laugh, it's going to be happening quite often every time she gets nervous, and it could be a question, it could be a situation, you know. You're going to hear that laugh often. So
Well,
um,
we would love to hear the laugh now rather than her getting at him.
I think we'd have to ask him that. It might be a toss up. But because at the altar, he started to look nervous himself. Like when he heard how frequently she was laughing, and you know, he started to look like, okay, I'm not sure what you're laughing at. You know, is it some? He's like he's checking himself. Is there something on my face?
He did. He
Is there
did.
something?
He did.
Is there something about me? Why are you laughing so much?
Right. He's like, "Something in my teeth?" He's like,
Yeah,
"No, no, no, it's not you. It's not
right. So he's getting
you."
like an insecurity. Like,
Yes.
wait, is there something on me? Like, you know,
So yeah, so these two do have a little bit of a hiccup, but we think that they can, you know, get over this speed bump and you know, get back together and get on strong footing.
until the cards come out. And then they
Woo!
do the couple cards, and that's going to probably reveal some sensitivity. I think some of the challenges that come up in the season, this couple will be particularly sensitive about. He
Yes,
has his own hang-ups, and she does too. So the cards are definitely designed to push those buttons as well, or open up those wounds.
right. Well, since there's another bride that has a laugh, and absence, I see you pulled her name out of the hat. Let's go to our senior couple, y'all. Rebecca and Steve. Now, Rebecca, as you see, is 51. Steve is 50. Rebecca has a son who's 19. And since she's a recent empty nester, she wanted that she can, you know, now live for herself and do what, you know, find love for herself, do what she want to do. Okay. Steve is a father of 4. Now, Steve is a father of 4. I need to pull up the ages of those kids because I'm sorry. I need y'all to understand what the ages are of his kids. See, I'm doing all of this and I forgot to pull my notes out. But he's a father of 4 girls. And he thinks that because he's the father of 4 girls, that he knows women. He thinks he knows women. He knows what they want. He has raised them. Okay. Now let's get to his girls. They are 18, 14, 12, and 7. Y'all heard me. Steve's kids are still kids. Now she wants someone who has their own kids and has more kids. But again, Steve, 18, 14, 12, and 7. Okay. I don't know if it's all with his ex-wife. We don't know. Those details are not shared. Okay. But I did ask and wonder if Stephen, I thought he had mainly adult children, but I thought maybe the 18-year-old could have been at the wedding because her son, who's 19, walked her down the aisle. Now she has a full-on laugh. She's a vivacious lady. I like Rebecca. She's very, very, good and open. They had a wonderful wedding. They seem to both be open to each other. He heard her laughter from the distance and was intrigued by her. And yeah, I have high hopes for these two. We don't know. Do we know yet? Oh yeah, we did see a little bit of them on their honeymoon. It was warm. And these two, I have more hope for them than the senior couple of last year who were the first couple to leave in like a day of moving in together.
That's not difficult. It's not difficult to have a better connection than that previous couple. I like this couple. I really think they really connected straight away. They look like they matched. The experts matched them quite well. His comment about knowing women because he has 4 daughters. Obviously, he's had an ex-wife or previous relationships or whatever, but having 4 daughters in his life for the best part of 20 years, raising these daughters, I can kind of see where he's coming from, but he's wrong. Everybody's different. You may encounter this lady, and Rebecca she seems to be very pleasant, very mild-mannered, very warm, like you said, and very soft, like very, very much like a caring, warm person. So not only did the instant chemistry get noticed, but also her son seemed to bond with him as well when they were at the table eating. He came and sat between them and had a conversation about, light-hearted conversation. As you know, they're just getting to know each other. And then they spent the night together, hugged up, embraced, woke up smiling, enamored with each other.
They said just cuddles.
Okay, cuddles, that's an embrace to me. That's putting your arm around somebody. So, yeah, and the giveaway for me is when they were in bed, the way that she was looking at him and the way that he was affectionate with her. It seems like this is a very good match.
It does. I am enthused by this match. We got to know how his co-parenting situation is happening. We got to figure out, how he's, raising his minor daughters. But she is open. Rebecca wanted a man with more children. So that's why I'm not looking at it too sternly. Yes, we know his youngest is 7. He was 40-some years old when she was born. It ain't that far away. But I'm not going to push on it because Rebecca, this is what she asked for. And she has a son. She doesn't have daughters. So this will be, a new adventure for her as well as a stepmom to daughters. So again, it is absolutely wonderful that these two can come together. Now, what is other than that amazing for me? Both of these had their parents there.
Mm-hmm.
Both of them. Her mother was there. Her dad sent a note because he is of very fragile health, and his mom was there.
Hmm.
Was it his mom? Yes, it
Yeah.
was his mom. So both of them, even though they are a senior couple, they had some fabulous looking parents, okay? They had some fabulous looking parents who were front and center. Absolutely loved it. Absolutely enjoyed watching these two, their wedding, the reception, and I have high hopes for them.
Yeah, same. And I also think she was looking for a silver fox. She got one. She doesn't mind his facial hair or anything like that. There's no, there haven't been any downsides so far. And also with regards to her wanting a guy who's got children, remember she's got a son. So an only child, it's great now to have potential siblings that he can get to know and have a blended family. So he's not so isolated or alone, right? So
You said about the beard, she said she don't want no pash rash though. Okay, y'all, you heard her. She don't want no rash from passion, y'all. She don't
listen,
want that fuzz. She don't want no carpet burn. Okay, she said that.
listen. Well, she didn't say she didn't want rug burn because that can happen in other ways. But the thing about beards is they can be taken off. They can be trimmed down. He seems like a well-groomed guy. So if she did have an issue with it, or if it was going to cause a rash, I'm sure he would be able to do something about it.
Right, exactly. Yeah, right. It was his dad. I figured it was his dad and her mom was there. But yes, I have high hopes for this couple. Let me get a moment here. Let me get a moment here. Welcome in. Welcome to being an L citizen, Nick and Robin. Balancieri. I'm sorry if I'm saying that incorrect.
Valencia.
Balancier. Okay, thank you. I was, eating it up in the wrong in the wrong way. Welcome on in. Thank you for being a new L citizen, and we always like to say thank you. Let the bird shake a little bit. Thank you, thank you. Welcome in. We have a special Valentine's member live tomorrow, Monday at 8:05 EST. I have a lot of gift suggestions. I have a lot of food suggestions, places we can eat, but it is adult content, okay? Make sure the earbuds are in when we are having those conversations in our member live. But welcome on in. Welcome on in. Where would you like to go to? I'm on such a high with that couple. I wish we ended with them. But who we
Gia.
have we only have two more.
Gia.
Okay. Gia and Scott. Gia and Scott are here. Now, Gia is, the one that came into the hands night saying, hey, these ladies, these brides are basic, and I am not basic, okay? I got the T and the A, and of course he will do whatever I ask him to do because I'm hot. Okay, that's it. That's all. So Gia is with Scott. Gia, we also find out, is a mom. She has a child. Now, she told her family to keep it hush, hush, hush until she has a chance to tell her groom herself. Okay? Scott, okay, let me go back to Gia. Production, whoever decided to put that wedding on the beach, you need to be demoted. The wedding on the beach, the mile they had to walk, she is in heels. She is in slip-on heels, and the sand of it all getting in her feet, getting in her veil. It was beautiful setting, but y'all needed to have a full-on ramp that she didn't have to be walking in that sand. But Gia was all for it. She took off her shoes. She walked with her mom. And Scott was all for it. He was bright-eyed and bushy-tailed when he saw her. He finds her fabulous. Now, Gia's uncle spilled the beans at the reception. When his parents asked, well, what does Gia do? He said, well, she's a mom. She's a great mom. And the mama, his mama, goes to Gia and say, hey, I hear you're a mom. And Gia had to, basically check her uncle. Okay. She was crying when she told him, hey, you could have set everything off, because Gia doesn't understand or know her groom and doesn't know how he will relate. So Scott told her, hey, I have dated women with kids before. It is not an issue. Scott did come into this, just like we talked about Rebecca, saying, hey, I want a family, even if it's a ready-made family. So Scott and Gia have high chemistry, and they are deciding to refrain from intimacy for right now to kind of like let that fire build. What were your thoughts on Gia and Scott?
This is a good match. She said she wanted an alpha male, going off of them tropes. She also says that she prides herself on her appearance. She's had a lot of work done. So she considers herself flawless. And he, on the other hand, multiple business owner, drives a Lamborghini, very regimented, likes to be up early, hit the gym, then spend all day at work, come home, this, that, the other. Right. So physically, they liked what they saw. Definitely a good match. Wedding on the beach. They could have given her the heads up, so she could have worn some Crocs instead of those heels. But she's Australian. This is set in Australia. They're famous for their beaches. So this ain't the first time she's been to the beach, but I just guess she didn't want her big day to have her wedding dress all sandy and soiled and things like that. She wanted it to be, she probably thought it was going to be somewhere else. But that's the risk you take. You come on this show, you don't know where they're going to send you, what dates you're going to have. It's not in your control. Anyway, they adapted well. They managed to, she managed to get there and go through the ceremony. Chemistry was great. I think that the kid situation, the child situation, I don't know. I get it. She wanted to wait till she was ready to disclose that information. And I think the uncle sped that process, like took it out of her hands over when she, the timing wise. And she was seething. She was mad. If it wasn't such a big occasion with so many people there, she would have gone ballistic on him. But
You think she would have gone ballistic instead of the crying?
Yeah, I think she would have went nuts because she went to straighten him out. She was like, "Come here." She walked him over to a private area and she was going to go nuts. But she realized, it wasn't anything. And the way he explained it, he said it was a slip up. He didn't intentionally mean to do it. But at the time when he delivered it, it looked pretty intentional to me because when he was asked, what does she do? He said, oh, well, she's a house mom. Similar to a housewife, but she's not married. She there looking after the child at home. And yeah, so I think he was very loose-lipped about it. But she forgave him. At the end of the day, she thought about the ceremony and the totality of the events rather than this one particular slip-up on her uncle's part. And thank goodness the groom was receptive as well. So when she did finally break it down to Scott, he was like, listen, that's all good, and that reassured her. So she don't have to hide it no more.
Right. And Gia, it kind of started off as Quay says in the chat that, her best man started off. So do you have kids? And she was like, oh my word, Why are you bringing this up? Why are you bringing this topic up? And they know because she has told everyone. Now, I like her friends. The toxic in me like her friends.
You like her friends?
They are wild. They are out there. They are diva. Not today. It may be you are not the first bridezilla I have ever had to deal with. I have so many things that I want that they have said on a t-shirt because Gia's friends are just I'm sorry. I like it. The hello and chill out diva. I would have those on a t-shirt. But yes, they were. You can see the friendship they get, and then they come right back together and, back and forth. Now, that could be what Scott's in for.
Exactly.
It could be what Scott's in for. But at least she's able to let it go and come back into the fold with her best mates, with her best friends. Okay. But you could see all the friends and her gay best friend was like, yeah, if she won't marry you, I will. Okay, Scott, you will not be leaving out here without a spouse.
You ain't even leaving here empty-handed. Yuck. But I think the friends, particularly the guy, the best man, he too flamboyant, man. He does too much. And when in her wedding preparation, he just wasn't helping. You know, that like, you know, she's quite a bridezilla. She wanted to, everything has to be about her and perfect the way she wants it. And he was just doing too much. And you know, she even told him, I don't want you in the limo. It's
Right.
like, you're demoted. Like, you're not coming in the car because you're just gonna stress my nerves. And but like you said, they did reconcile pretty quickly, and that seems to be the nature of their friendship. Like there's a lot of cattiness between them. Will Scott have time for all of that though? You know, he doesn't strike me as someone who's down for the mess. He's a no nonsense guy. I think he's passionate about his work. He's passionate about his relationships, but the extra drama stuff, I think he wants to keep that to a minimum. He's gonna have his hands full with Gia, because Gia already, she's gonna go into those ladies' lounges, the wives only spaces, and she's gonna ruffle some serious feathers. She's gonna make some other brides feel very insecure. And when she rolls up with Scott, because of the way that their chemistry is, and also how they present, she's got the Barbie doll figure. He's the tall Ken looking guy, well groomed, dashing. Yeah, I think there's going to be some insecurity from some of the other couples that aren't doing so well. They're going to fixate on this couple, and it's going to be to their detriment, because this couple will look like they're going to flame everybody, right? Scott doesn't look like he's down for the mess, but he's going to protect his wife. That's
Yes.
for sure.
Yes, he is enthralled with her. She is with him. They are learning so much about each other and really liking it, even though I can see the toxicity that is Gia. Okay.
Yeah.
I could see the toxicity with the way she talks about the other ladies. Even in her vows, she says, I can cook better than your mom, and I could, you know, joke with you better than your best mate. She's like, I will be your best friend and everything. So I do like how in some instances how flamboyant she is, but I wonder if it's a cover. And I wonder if the changes to herself are a cover for her to make herself feel like she is the best, like she is the top woman walking in the room. What if she wasn't? You see, that's where I wish we had, you know, as she said, she's a baddie. I wish we had another baddie, meaning a baddie on the level that she thinks is a baddie who is enhanced. There are some baddies there, I think, but a baddie that's enhanced, like she's enhanced, to make her, you know, push a little step back. I don't know.
Right. So I think, you know, there is the model that's with Chris, right?
Brooke.
Brooke. Now she's a model, so there may be some level of I see her and I recognize her. But the other ladies, she's gonna be like, oh no, you're too frumpy, you're too insecure, you're trying to get to my level. I don't rate none of y'all. And she's gonna be she's gonna be very sharp with her criticisms about them, and it's gonna cause heat. I also think, based on what we saw, she is covering up a lot of wounds from, you know, she said when she was younger, she was the weird, you know, one that was kind of last to get a boyfriend type thing. So she augmented herself to change that and change the perception of herself, change the amount of attention she gets, and her confidence. So there are wounds there. And like you said, it would be very interesting if there was somebody that she thought was competition, how she would react in that way. I can pretty much, going by how she's presented, I think she would be on the catty, trying to get them out of there. There can only be one queen bee type of thing. You got to go. I'm the one.
Yes, yeah. And I'm hoping, you know, it's not only that Brooke is there, but I wish Brooke had, as you said, the same type of secure relationship, because again, she will, even though she may think and see that Brooke is, you know, a baddie, but she didn't think so the night of the hens night. But I'm like, you know, I wish Brooke's relationship would also be, you know, a source of contention, because if she had a good relationship, Gia had a good relationship, that's when they would really be going head to head as well.
And like I said, I think there's another component to this, is because her and Scott get on so well, when they go into the couple spaces and, you know, their chemistry is there, and they start speaking about their experience together, it's gonna come off as being very stuck up, or it's gonna create heat because there's a lot of dysfunction in some of the other couples already. So that's gonna get some of the other couples, particularly the brides. I think that's gonna
Yes.
make them feel a certain way.
So, let's get to our last couple
Here we
for
go.
this week, for last week. Okay, y'all. Today, after this live, y'all could go and see there are 2 more weddings that
Mhm.
happened in today's episode because at this time it's nighttime in Australia, so the episode has aired. So after this, y'all can go and watch. I believe it's episode 5. But it's 4 episodes each week. Sunday to Wednesday is the usual days and times. Okay. Danny and Beck, okay, where we can see Beck and Gia going head to head this season. We've seen the clips. Beck says she's here for a bit of a fairy tale. She has, she was always the chunky girl and she has lost the weight. And she has worked on not only her body but her mind as well. She said she's done the work. It's not evident, but she said she's done the work. So we're going to trust that part, but we need to see the work in action. Danny, okay, is an English gentleman, okay? He said he's an English gentleman that is in Australia for I think 10 to 14 years he's been here in Australia. Um Now the way Danny looks in his suit, now Danny, okay, the brown color of the suit, I could just about forgive you because of the fit of the suit, okay? He also had a crown on his lapel pin because he's looking for his queen, and he was going to crown his queen by giving her a pin. Okay. Beck sees the pin. Beck likes him. They look okay. Beck is like, ugh, ugh, ugh. What? Why do you want that? And she left the pin where they were sitting intentionally so that she wouldn't have the pin. This is the first gift her husband is giving her, y'all, and she's not appreciative or even taking care of that gift. Then they go on their honeymoon, which is a tropical location, which I know y'all did that because Beck says she got some, her body and how her body looks. Y'all did that to her production. But okay, I'm gonna leave that alone. Beck, Danny, you look completely different, completely covered in tattoos. Okay. It's giving me old school gangster. But completely covered in tattoos. And Beck accuses him of watching this woman constantly all day. Now, Danny had some post nut clarity because we find out that what? She has sampled the goods. Okay. They have slept with each other the first night. And while she is saying it was amazing, Danny, on the other hand, has nothing to say and not even looking at her while they are in the bed. Okay. And he has been escaping her the entire honeymoon by going into the water. I don't know if he realized that that's what he's doing, but that's what we are seeing. Danny asked her, "Are you ready for this process?" She said, "Yes, I am. I did the work." And he said, "I don't think you are." Danny has this whole uphill thing with this young lady. I'm not sure what to make of it, but Beck needs to go home. What are your thoughts about Danny and Beck?
And I'll take your last point first. She needs to go home. Like this ain't going nowhere. She is like Beck is far too insecure about about a lot of things, not just her own appearance, but how he may perceive her and his level of attraction to her. But she has been nitpicking and nagging from the first moment they laid eyes on each other. At the altar, she started on him there, and that brooch is so small, and the whole significance of I'm a king looking for my queen. She found that quite repulsive, right? Which was a very abnormal response for someone on your big day. You're meant to be the princess or the queen for the day. Everything's tailor-made for you on that day. And you don't want to be his queen. I found that very strange. Then as they continued to spend time with each other, she started critiquing him and asking questions, which when he answered, she would use the answer against him. And you can see that he's clocked it from straight away, and it's turning him off. Now, when it came to their sleeping arrangement, she said she copped a feel, and he's packing. He's got an anaconda down there. And so she was completely wowed the next morning. She was raving about it in bed, talking about how great he was, complimenting him and this, that, the other. And he looked traumatized. He was like, man, I can't believe what I just saw. I can't believe I did what I just did. Let me go to the lake and just try and rinse this off thoroughly. I'm going for a swim as much as possible just to wash her off of me. That's what it looked like. And then the cutting remarks just continued. Like, he hasn't said anything particularly until she started to be insecure about this particular resident at the same complex where they are, or if it's a production member, I don't know. But basically, she noticed this lady jogging. And then later in the afternoon, she noticed the lady in the same vicinity as them. And then in the evening, she noticed the same lady walking past. So she's not noticing the girl, and she's already comparing, oh, look, she looks better than me. I bet he's looking over there. He is just minding his own business. I don't think he particularly focused on that particular girl. He couldn't understand where this insecurity is coming from. The fastest way to push someone away is to be overly insecure, because it creates that instability. Now, I've got to watch what I say, or I've got to watch how I behave, or I've got to, he even said to her, do you want me to not look at anything? Like, do you want me to watch where I'm looking? And she got upset about that. She's like, oh, come on. You're being childish now. No, but that's what you're literally saying. I can't look anywhere else but at you. And I think the thing that really stuck with me about their interaction as well was when she said, so you bought that leopard skin shirt with you, that leopard print shirt. Oh, have you had success in that leopard print shirt in terms of picking up ladies before? Yeah, I might have. Okay, so why did you bring it with you this time? Did you think you were going to get lucky? She's asking all these type of questions, and he just had to say, no, listen, you need to stop now. Stop. You're just being silly now. And she got up, stormed off, left him. The food was served, and then she came back because the food was on the table. And then I think after eating the food, they were asked a question from the box, and it was something to do with, are you attracted to me, or something like that?
I have the questions.
Yeah, go ahead. What was the question?
It
Refresh
says,
my memory.
the honesty box question, what's the most enduring and most annoying? Then they ask about if they have sexual chemistry.
Yep.
And then ask me anything. Danny decided to ask her, are you ready for this?
Exactly. Now, those three things hit home immediately for her. So, is there sexual chemistry? They've just been intimate. And his answer was no. So that's going to shatter her confidence, because to her, she thought there probably was, despite all her insecurities. But he's saying no, not because of the intimacy. He's saying no because of her actions around that. He's not finding that attractive, the constant jabs, the constant critiques about him. He's not attracted to that. It's actually turning him off and pushing him away. But she knows she's doing it, but she doesn't want to stop. And it's getting worse. And it's ruining their connection. And then
talk about him trying to reset the room.
Yeah, he definitely has tried to reset the room. And when asked, what do you like about me and what don't you like about me? Because he said to her, let's reset the room. Let's pretend we have a neuralizer from Men in Black. And after 3, we're going to flash the neuralizer and let's forget the bad vibes and let's try and refresh and restart the mood. She agreed to it. Then immediately when the question box is presented to them, she reverts straight back to, well, the thing I don't like about you is that you've been looking at this woman and you've been giving her triple takes. And he's like, no, I haven't. She storms off and starts saying, oh, you think you're David Beckham. You must think you're handsome. You must think you're all of that. I think she's genuinely intimidated by how handsome and well put together he is compared to how fragile and insecure she is. He's confident about himself and she's not very confident. So she's trying to attack him because of how wounded she is and create insecurities in his mind when she's the one that has them.
I totally agree with you. I think, and I hate to say it this way, Danny is a handsome man. He is, you know, um, you know, I hate to say it this way, but he's not the typical, UK bloke that you would see, even in the midst of his friends. He's a very striking, looking man. And I think because of that, he may be, and I don't know Beck. This is all again for entertainment purposes only, y'all. I think he is higher in the elevation of men that she has been with before. The way she's behaving is giving me that assumption. And he is, for y'all, for all intents and purposes, Danny, the way he behaves is always a constant English. I always hear English gentleman in how he carries himself, how he speaks to her, not just his accent, but how he defers to her. And it seems to me he came into this and he was looking at her. He saw that she was open. She was laughing at the vows and stuff until he said, yeah, if, he looking for Bonnie and Clyde. And if, he needs to, if he ever gets arrested, he wants her to bail him out. She's stuck in her mind
that he's a criminal.
He's getting himself arrested. And I don't want to be with a man who gets himself arrested. And y'all, she had a crash out on her confessional after the wedding. Constantly, why are you getting arrested? Do you regularly get arrested? And then she called out his friend. Apparently his friend is a Magic Mike impersonator. So he does go and do Magic Mike style shows. He has a Magic Mike style calendar too, this friend. So he is well known in social media. And she called him out while she's on the altar. Y'all, she is at the altar with this man, Danny, that she's supposed to marry. And she's talking to his friend in the front row. Anybody tell you ever look like Channing Tatum? Anybody ever tell you, you slept with my friend. You never called her back. Ma'am, your focus is supposed to be on the man you are marrying, not his friend in the audience.
And then what she did, she tried to tar Danny with the same brush. She said, I bet you're out with your mates every night, watching them stripping, getting all the girls. She's making comments like that. She's just not up for this task. She doesn't realize, right? This is the thing. I don't think she did the work. I think she went to work and came home. That's the only work she did, her job. She has not done any real work. And if she has, I would like to know how extensive that is and what has she actually learned. Where was she before this then? She must have been a complete state if this is what she looks like after the work, right? And we're not talking about body work. We're talking about, perception, psychology, and all those type of things. Because she's very unhinged and very unhealed. And she doesn't realize that having someone stable and grounded like Danny is actually a benefit to her if she has actually done the work. This is the type of guy that she needs that will say, listen, you're being insecure now, rein it in. Let's go. Let's do this. Let's build this relationship properly. But she's resistant to that because all she knows is the broken view that she has of relationships, previous partners, and herself. So she's going to continue to sabotage. She's self-sabotaging.
And that's the hard part because this man, even though she may not have liked the brooch that is a crown, okay? This man thought of you before he knew you. He thought of a gift for you. He was wearing it and he's like, I'm giving you my crown. Even the symbolic nature of it should have been enough to be like, you know what? Let me not make fun of it. Let me not make all kinds of sounds about it and try to tear him down. So again, I really didn't like it, but here's the thing. Let's turn this dime on its head. Okay? Let's turn this shilling. Y'all, one of the experts is called shillings. Okay? That's why I will say let's flip the shilling. What if Danny was looking at another woman constantly and this is not all in her head and he's gaslighting her? What if that what if that, what if she's being painted by production for it to look like it's all in her head since she had that episode at the vows at vow. What if he really is looking at another woman?
Well, the thing is, there are so many incidents of her being insecure before that even took place that if he did notice this particular woman all 3 times, I'm not really sure he's going to get much heat for it, because he's going through hell right now within the first 24 hours of knowing this girl. She has nitpicked and picked him apart for everything. It seems like she's the type of lady that gets high off of putting him down or putting him in his place. It gives her a power trip or makes her feel like she's above or superior by checking him all the time. And like I said, sooner or later, a smart man is going to wise up to it. And even if he does decide to stay instead of leave, he's going to expect her to fix up that behavior. And if she doesn't, then I think she's going to potentially lose someone who, like you said, may have been probably the best man to come around her in quite some time. This is a real opportunity for her. And if she doesn't fix up, she's going to lose it.
Yeah, she definitely could lose him. And, y'all, I just want to see it on the other side of things because, again, we know this is an edited, produced show. We have no idea if we're just being shown the moments that Beck is being unhinged. We don't know if Danny is actually looking at someone, but I'm sure that production would be capturing it and show it to us. He ain't all the way slick, but again, definitely we kind of see her behavior pattern of things being processed a little bit differently, especially when it came from the vows and how much she fixates on a moment.
Or his flaws, what she perceives to be his flaws. She fixates on those and makes it a point to bring up every single time.
But do you think it's because she's going through withdrawals because he laid it down real good, as she said?
No, because it happened before before the pipe was cleaned. Like before he even laid the pipe, she was still going off the same way. After, they had a brief moment where she was like, "Oh, that was fantastic. That was great. Struth. Fantastic." Right? And then that soon wore off. She back to nitpicking again. And yeah, like it must be very difficult to be going through that as a guy because, if you're looking for that stability, if you're looking for that warmth, that love, that care, we've seen how good couples have connected on the show. In the same space of time, we've seen some of the chemistry that these couples have. And we look at this couple in comparison and we're like, nah, this couple's in trouble straight away. She stormed off in tears at least 3 times. Like they're not going to work if it stays the same. It's just not going to work.
Lotus Egyptian Flower saying she was faking about the bedroom action. It was all in her head since other things are in her head.
Yeah. Listen, it wouldn't surprise me. It was probably a dream. It's probably a wet dream. And he don't know nothing about it. That's why.
Right. And if y'all have a chance to see that was episode 4, y'all, because she is going on like, yeah, this was awesome. This was wonderful. And he is staring out the window into the distance, and he is not seeing the horizon.
He's probably looking at the lady jogging past the room.
He did look like he had a far away look. I felt for him. I said, ooh, post nut clarity set in.
He's
And
traumatized.
we ain't never gonna come back from this. But we know that Becca and Gia go at it at a
Mhm.
dinner party. We know
Yep.
they are clawing at each other.
Yep. And
But
that's
y'all,
gonna happen.
that is definitely gonna happen. It is.
Yep.
Y'all, today's episode, this couple is getting married. Grayson is marrying Julia. Remember, Julia doesn't know if she's marrying a man or a woman for the experiment. She's had relationships with both, and she told the experts it doesn't matter to her. And also today, Philippe and Stella are getting married in the episode that airs today. Um, he is from Croatia. She's from Lithuania, I believe it is. So they're saying that he would totally understand her migration process. So those are two weddings coming up. So y'all go and see the veil next week. Okay. These are all, let me take y'all comments down for a bit. These are all the couples. Okay. These are all the couples that are going to be in the process. Usually, y'all, when couples leave off, sometimes there are two couples that come in later on. So this may not be it. Y'all may turn around and we're at episode 10 or 12, and you're like, wait a minute, why we got new couples? Where they come from? This is what happens in UK. It happens in the Australia version of Married at First Sight. So these are the couples we know right now, but there may be, as couples fall off, and there will be couples that may be entering. And for UK, there were two couples that came on close to the end, or they only had a month, and there's a couple that is still standing. They're the only one still standing for Married at First Sight UK, and they just made the huge leap to move in together. Okay, so definitely don't count out the couples that come in at the last minute at the 11th hour, because guess what? The clock is still ticking at the 11th hour. Okay, I did like that couple. They John, and I forgot John's wife's name. I'm sorry. They had a wonderful, relationship and smooth sailing, no issues. We thought it was all make believe, but it is definitely one for the books. Your first rodeo.
I didn't think it was make believe. I thought that they were I thought they were gonna work.
You
I thought
did.
they were
You
gonna
did.
work.
You did. You were right. You were right. Is that what you wanted to hear? That's what you
Yeah,
wanted to hear, JR? You were right.
listen, there's nothing wrong with hearing that, But yeah, you're right. The format where they bring in other couples is usually when couples start to fall away very early. So they have couples on standby that they can bring in to prop up the numbers and make the show go to its required timeline. Otherwise, if everybody leaves early, then they have to cut the show early.
So to let folks know, they usually have the weddings. After the weddings, and people, they're on their honeymoon. So we're going to see honeymoons a little bit, maybe this week, a little bit, maybe one or two episodes. They are going to be moving in together. They get apartments, and they all move into the same building, okay, with their names on the door. And weekly, what they do have is they have an activity. Sometimes they rate the other people by looks, okay, by
That's gonna be
attractiveness.
it. That's every season they do that.
Every season.
Very messy.
Then we have the dinner party where everybody come in for the cocktail hour. We see who come in together, who don't come in together, and who got business that's being laid on the table, okay, along with the meat and potatoes. Then they have a meeting weekly with the experts. That weekly meeting, okay, the experts work with them on what they need to work on for the week. They say what's going on in the relationship. They say, hey, I'm having a hard time apologizing. I'm having a hard time hearing him, and he's having a hard time, kind of like reaching me, whatever it is. They sit down with the three experts. They give them some assignments or ways to look at things, and then they have to decide whether they're going to stay or leave. Okay, leave the process. Now, both of us say stay. We're staying for another week. If one person says leave, we've got to stay for another week and see if we could turn this around, or if we are leaving the following week. Okay. And if we both say leave, then it's bye, y'all. It's been fun. And, go about your business and go home. Okay. Go about your business and go home. But can you also explain the experiment weekly observation process in the experiment? I wonder if things have changed since season 2. No, they still observe them. They observe them at the dinner party. They're in the back. They have a TV screen. The experts, so they watch the dinner party live, and we get their live reaction too as to what is said. Okay,
And they
so
also observe them at the cocktail party before the dinner party as well. So they analyze who comes in together, the body language during the mixer, and then at the dinner table they analyze the interactions. You know, who's popping off, which couples are close, and then by the time they reach the confessional on the couch, which is the next phase after that, the next step, then they have evidence of how the couples have been behaving towards each other. And then they get the feedback from the week. How have you found it? How did you find the challenges? How did you find living together? And then do you want to stay or leave? If one person writes leave and the other person writes stay, then the couple has to stay for another week and try and resolve the issue. And that can also inflame tension sometimes. Or sometimes it might convince the person who wrote leave to write stay the next week and continue. So,
but yes, it's very interesting, y'all. And the thing is, with those, when they go on the couch to talk to the experts call them out on it. Like, no, I saw you misbehaving, speaking to your wife any kind of way. I saw you dismissing your husband at the party last night. They do call them out on their behavior. And that's what I do like now. Sometimes they just tell people, to get over it, that it ain't that serious. Sometimes the advice is not the best, but I do appreciate it. And this is what I wish the Married at First Sight US would kind of go through. I wish US would take this process a little bit. They're getting there, because from Chicago Maths, we had dinner parties, not regularly, but we at least had a couple dinner parties with the folks. But these folks are living in the same place. And, they're able to be shuttled over. They're all living in the same, basic area. Okay. But I don't know if Dr. Pepper is a producer in this Maths. I don't know, but she's been there for a long time. But we're having all new experts from Married at First Sight US. And we don't know if the format of the show will change to bring it closer to the UK and the Australia version. But y'all, the UK and Australia versions, these are not legally binding marriages. That is the biggest difference. These are not legally binding marriages like it is in the US. In the US, after the show, it has to be a formal divorce. That is the big difference. But I think because it is a legal binding marriage, that these, contestants in the US need the experts, more, than they're getting in the non-legal binding ones, which is a weekly sit down with the experts. I mean, I think the US definitely needs it more since there are legalities involved.
Exactly. They got it kind of backwards, right? But different laws, different regions. So I think it's a good thing to have a non-legal binding throughout the process. And then at the end, just like with Ready to Love or some of the other shows, you decide to choose each other, and then that's when you put the ring on it for real. Right. That's the incentive. If you're already married from the early doors, then what's the incentive? Divorce. Let's avoid divorce by staying together. Completely different mindset and the way you approach the relationship. So I prefer the Australian and UK format.
Right. If we could have civil unions here in the US and the civil unions could just be dissolved after, wonderful. But again, they do need a whole lot more expert intervention and counseling in the US, because again, it is a legal binding marriage. But I'm glad y'all are here. I'm glad y'all are enjoying Married at First Sight Australia. We did cover last season, last year together. That was our first time doing it. And we're back again with you guys covering it. I'm glad that y'all like the photos, because I couldn't keep them straight or together if I didn't have photos. So even though y'all enjoyed, it's really for my prompt. JR, is there anything else? Tell the people where they can find you. Anything else you want to say about the show before we close it off?
Yeah, I look forward to seeing how the show's going to pan out. As you said, 2 more weddings today, and then the couples meet for the first time during next week. So I'm interested to see how it all pans out. You can find me on JRX TV on IG. You can find me on Life is Reality on YouTube and JRX TV on TikTok. So I'm here doing relationship content. I do health, fitness, well-being content, and what else do I do? I do too many things.
Too many things. If y'all want a good old time, check out his Instagram. He be doing all kinds of stuff. On Sundays is fitness though. So if you want to see fitness content, he be making me feel like, what are you doing on a Sunday? You got to do more. But y'all, thank you, JR, for committing to be here, y'all. This is our first week. We're gonna be here. It's probably gonna be 10 weeks, y'all. Okay, it's gonna be 10 weeks, about 40 episodes. It's a long haul for this. Okay, it is a long haul for Australia, but they give you the goods. Okay, they give you the goods. There's so much to talk about. But thank y'all so much for joining us.
Like and hype the video. Like and hype the video.
Yes, please like and hype the video. Let everybody know we are here. Okay, we are outside of the usual realm of Australia, and we just want people to know we're talking about it, and we want y'all to know that it is a wonderful show. Members, tonight, for those of you who are not watching football, we will be watching The Beauty together. Not on YouTube, but off-site where, we won't infringe on any copyright issues, okay? Where we'll be elsewhere. But there will be a link under the beauty poster, under the membership section of the channel, okay? So members, those of you who are not watching football, this is not a thing about football or whatever. Just some people just don't watch football. We just want a place where we can hang out and talk about different stuff. And we're going to watch The Beauty, as many episodes as we can, tonight. There are 5 episodes, y'all, or 6. I think it's 5 or 6. 5. I don't think I could watch all 5, but we definitely could do a strong 4. Okay. But y'all, thank y'all so much for being here. Members, I will see you Monday night for the Member Live. Tuesday is my Ready to Love recap, where I have some things to discuss, serious things to discuss about Ready to Love. Okay. Okay. That'll be Tuesday. Wednesday, I cover A Night of the Seven Kingdoms. And when I tell you this past episode was amazing. Whew. Are there no good nights left in Westeros? Thank you. And Friday, we'll have our usual unscripted. And Friday night, we'll be doing something different because Ready to Love is in the can after Tuesday. Thank y'all so much. Thank you, JR. And y'all, I'll see you on the next one.